amazing to see this group together. I want to share just a little bit about my background in connection to YAG Global and why this region is so near and dear to my heart. And then also talk about the last 6 months of YAG Global and how the super yacht industry has rallied together in support of the Caribbean islands, the damage of the Caribbean islands. And then talk about what's next in terms of how we truly harness the power of this industry for good. And then the last thing I want to talk about is this region in general. Southeast Asia, Asia region, how we can truly stand up this region to be one of the model YAG global regions. So with that said, I want to give you a quick background of how I got hooked on doing good while you're cruising along. I cruised into Indonesia. Well, first of all, I've been on the sailing yacht Vivid for about 12 years. I've been a professional captain for 15 years. And Vivid is being sold right now, and I stepped off about 6 months ago and offered myself to YAG Global as a full-time volunteer. On the first day that I began volunteering for YAG Global, the hurricanes ravished and devastated the Caribbean islands. And that was a call to action for YAG Global, a call to action for the industry, which I'll get into very quickly. But an interesting story Spang started to talk about as we first cruised into Indonesia, and a story about Sarong, West Papua, and Papua New Guinea. Cruised in and asked the local agents in Indonesia for a reference on how to get involved in the communities. What's the best way to donate school supplies? What's the best way to talk to the kids, get involved in the communities? After donating school supplies in Komodo, one of the teachers came up and said, "We need more help." I said, "Okay, you've got my heart." And after you see the faces of these young kids in Komodo, those of you that have been here, your heart is there. They have you 100%. But the teacher came up to me and said, "We need more help." I said, "Okay, you've got it. We need help building a fence around the school." I said, "Okay, why is that so important?" I said, "Right now our teachers are spending half of their time teaching and the other half of the time keeping the Komodo dragons from eating the kids." That was my reaction. I'm like, really? Wow. To us in this room, to build a fence is not that big of a deal. Or a school book. Or clean drinking water filters. But to those kids in Komodo, it was a game changer. So I got on the phone with Mark Graylow, founder of YAG Global, which was founded 11 years ago. I said, "Hey Mark, I don't know you that well, you don't know me, but this is something I think we ought to partner around." We both chipped in the funds to do that. I stuck around with my crew, and 2 weeks later we worked with the villagers to build a fence around the Komodo school and keep the dragons from eating the kids. Fast forward 11 years, this is, as I look back on my 12 years on Vivid, this is my most, my heart is so rich, and I'm preaching to the choir here, but it's about taking this model of doing some good along the way without changing course that we're trying to build into the absolute fiber and DNA culture of the yachting industry. And everybody, we all get it. Now, let me fast forward here. I want to just give, the relationships I have in this room are tremendous. I look at Andy and the water filters that we've put in all throughout Indonesia, a tremendous experience. And we involved the yacht owner and his family every step of the way. And if you ask them what their most fulfilling experiences on board Vivid were, it's when we did stuff like this. And Alvin. These are pictures of Alvin and I partnering last year. He gets the biggest kudos, but Alvin and his 4x4 club, they spent 8 hours in a 4x4 going into the interior of Borneo with him driving. Next time I'm driving.
driver, he does weddings in Bordeaux. And his wife too.
It's rather than being a bobblehead in the back. But together, we've put clean drinking water, provided clean drinking water to every school in Borneo in 2017. Amazing. And just an example of what we can do. Now, these storms hit. 6 months ago, unprecedented issue for the world, for the Caribbean and for the yachting industry. For the yachting industry, it was unprecedented because for once, there was a very common issue. Everybody, even in this room, we've got connections to the Caribbean, especially on that side of the world, the Mediterranean, Caribbean, Mediterranean milk runs. Everybody had to lean in and cooperate with regards to supporting the Caribbean. The Monaco Boat Show was happening at the exact same time. Mike O'Neill, Captain Catherine, Norma Treese, Fiona, and all of the industry association presidents did an emergency roundtable and said, what are we going to do here? And YAG Global was called. We were called because of the reputation of Mark and what he's been able to accomplish over the last 11 years. And we were asked to take the helm. And I can remember standing up in front of a group at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show right after the storms hit, and I had the Assistant Prime Minister of Dominica next to me. We were talking about the devastation. And the way I explained it was that these storms, that the yachting industry we're all in this boat together, right? We're all in this world, we're all in this life together. But as an industry, we were all in this boat together, and YAG Global just happened to be the ones that was asked to take the helm. And really, that's how we feel about this. It's not about a logo at all. It's about building collaboration of a lot of people that all say, yeah, this is what I'm doing on a small basis, this is what we're doing on a large, but banding everybody together, building collaboration. So we got to work. We organized, I'm just going to show you a couple slides here, but when I look at these, I get goosebumps about the collaboration, the participation of an industry really banding together to do some good. This is in France with our partners Ecomer. Their chain, human chain, loading up boats that were heading from the Med to the Caribbean, Jean-Luc. Absolutely phenomenal. Another boat heading in, donating water filters and buckets for the clean drinking water bills. The stories are endless. And if you haven't seen YAG Global's Facebook page, please go check it out and go back months and months. One amazing story after another about amazing collaboration. Partnering with the Sea Shepherd folks just recently. Another amazing story. We filled the Sea Shepherd on its way to Dominica with Christmas presents already wrapped for the kids of Dominica. They had no Christmas, and after this they did. Here's a view of what we were able to accomplish in just a couple months from 2 or 3 volunteers by building collaboration within this industry. Using 43 vessels, we moved all this kind of stuff. Now imagine what we can do if we can truly harness the entire power of this industry for good. And the beautiful thing about this is there's no sales involved. I'm not up here selling a product. Everybody gets it, But it's just a matter of having somebody facilitate it. And we are honored. I just led a call with Norma Treese from her home 2 weeks ago to the Super Yacht 8 Coalition. All of those, the industry association presidents essentially that stood us up and said, let's follow YAG Global's lead. And the tone of that call was so heartwarming and congratulatory, but we reflected that right back, saying, no, let's not put a trophy on the wall here. Let's harness this momentum and success story for the good, to get everybody on board. And that's what we're at right now. So very quickly, YAG Global was essentially founded 11 years ago with two missions. One, to move humanitarian aid from point A to point B. Yachts are already going from point A to point B. Why not carry something of value, right? Two, to provide disaster relief. Many of you are familiar with some of the disaster response work done in Vanuatu and in this region by YAG Global. And now we have the Caribbean to look at. But here's the new thing. And this is where we're all involved here. And that's the third pillar of our mission now is to provide that same collaborative leadership to harness every yacht owner, every yacht business, every yacht crew towards what we're calling yachting social responsibility. Corporate social responsibility is nothing new. It's been around forever. It makes good business sense to take care of your community, to take care of the environment. Yachting social responsibility is about stewardship towards the world's oceans and coastal communities. If you think about it, if these oceans die, if these coastal communities keep getting pummeled and not brought back, what happens to us? We're done. Another compelling, I'll come back to that. But this yachting social responsibility, it's obviously it's the right thing to do. But another compelling business reason is the number of millennial billionaires is growing. The number of super yacht sales is staying flat. And the data, the research, the reason why of that gap is image. The image of owning a yacht. The image of a millennial billionaire like a Mark Zuckerberg of sitting on the back of a yacht, drinking champagne and all of those negative reasons. So not only is yachting social responsibility the right thing to do, but it makes very good business sense. To change the image of yachting as an industry that recognizes their power, not just treasures by any means. Obviously, the group of individuals that make up the yachting industry are some of the world's greatest wealth. But they're also some of the greatest minds and fund some of the greatest NGOs and nonprofits that focus specifically on the health of the oceans and resilient community buildups and sustainable solutions for all of the things, the world's most pressing issues. Imagine us all, and many of the people in this room, and I know several of you are already doing great things on your own in several of the organizations. But imagine if we're all sitting around that same table and we're minimizing duplication of efforts. We're sharing best practices. And we've got unlimited human resources and unlimited financial resources to really make an impact. And that's where we're at now. I want to share one concept with you very quickly here. And I don't have to go backwards, but I'm going to share it with you. It's called the Yachting Pledge. This is probably about 2 or 3 weeks away from being launched. The model or the funding, the roundtable, the platform to get everybody together is we're calling YAGpledge.org. It should be live in about 2 or 3 weeks. How many of you are familiar with the givingpledge.org? There's your homework. If you Google givingpledge.org, you'll find a signatory group that was created by Warren Buffett and Bill and Melinda Gates. It's to be a member of the givingpledge.org, those families have made a commitment of 50% or greater of their billions to philanthropy. About 40 of those Giving Pledge signatories are yacht owners who have already committed 50% or greater of their billions to philanthropy, and are already, cracking things like disease, child, life rates, huge big issues. But they're not together around one table, focusing on the things that are near and dear to our hearts, the oceans and the coastal communities. And this is our opportunity. So that and yachting social responsibility, the big picture goal is that every yacht owner, every yacht business, every yacht crew has some demonstrable skin in the game of supporting the world's oceans and the world's coastal communities. And we hope to provide that collaborative leadership and guidance for us all to work together on that. And that's YAG Global. Questions?
Well, those of you who heard me speak yesterday, a few of you, you'll know that this is basically at the core of my business model. So in Papua New Guinea, most of our boats that come are expedition, or they're coming there, these remote regions looking for that different experience, not destination necessarily, but experience. Basically at the core, the only way I've been able to get government support in after 5 years of just locking heads and getting walls. This year when I sat down with the Papua New Guinea government and also Solomon Islands, I said to them, look, this is the data on cost, because they want the cruise ships. They think they want the cruise ships. So I did. I went back to the last 10 years and said, this is the data on the cruise ships. The cruise ship passenger is giving you $72 a day. That's what they're giving you. And that goes straight to their government pockets. The yacht client is giving you between $3,500 to $4,000. So we're trying to protect our areas and say, okay, these are the 3 areas that cruise ships can go, or 4, or whatever it is. The government, in order for me to sort of put the invisible cost, is I've said to them, this is what we're going to do. Now, they've just in the last 3 months given us a super yacht classification. We can get a charter permit. So when you come in now, you apply for a permit to charter in PNG, and Solomon's, I believe, are about to do the same for the charter. They're changing their so that we're all one Indonesia. The permit costs about $2,500 US, which most charterers would pay without question. But the model that we've been able to say to the government is saying, okay, well, why don't we charge them $5,000 on the provider that the other $2,500 is going to go to, based on our itinerary of these community projects, because when, as an expedition leader who's front line every day with the clients, that's the thing we get asked for the most. Yes, you have to pay anchorage fees, yes, you have to pay timing fees, but the people, as you know from being there, will always say to me, we need help in the community. They don't want books and pencils, they want a new classroom, they want a water filtration system, they want education. These are the things they want. So so when I sat down with the government, and I did all the hidden sort of costs or income revenue, we put it at over $2.5 million US in aid that my clients alone, and I'm talking about 12 boats. 12 boats have given me over $2.5 million in funding for projects, for malaria, for gender-based violence, for anti-mining, listening to the communities. I don't go out there with an agenda and say, hey, I'm here to, but we've been able to, a very influential role being on the boats with communities. We've been able to, just last week I got up a boat the guy came up to me and said, listen, I love that you're bringing these yachts, and as a result, we're going to make all these 3 bays, I'm going to make a no-take fish zone, a marine protected zone, because you guys seem to bring the divers here. I've got the paperwork, can you help me get it lodged with the government, and we're going to make it official that this is a conservation area for the Conservation International. My clients lap that stuff up. They just throw the money at it, and as a result of that, the government has gone, okay, we're going to support you and now give you all the attention you need because you're basically doing work that we don't want to pay for. So,
It's incredible what you're doing. Absolutely incredible. And part of what we all need to do here is get everybody that's doing amazing things like that, every yacht owner that's doing amazing things like that in one space so that we can do a sum of what's the impact of the entire yachting industry banding together rather than one group here, one group here, one group here. For example, Michael Moore and the Seakeeper Society. You know, outstanding. He's a mentor of ours right now and fully on board with what we're doing and giving guidance to how we shape this thing. And awesome, awesome work. Alan, you shared a comment with me about the government, the Malaysian government, as a result of some of the work that you were doing that had another similar impact on government's image of yachting.
In my area, which is Borneo, which is a bit of a high-risk area in the past, a lot of boats tend to avoid to visit this particular stretch of coastline, which is bordering Philippines, because there's quite a bit of a incident that happened down there. And I'm actually really involved in managing and running Sail Malaysia for that particular lake that is gaining a lot of government support, because during the Levy passage, we do community outreach program for the water installation of water filters on coastal community. So cooperating with the authority which is taking care of the coastline security, they were in the past very skeptical about all these yachts passing through this area, meaning that the sort of yachts which are passing through that area means to them it's a burden. But since last year, after we have done this outreach program with cooperating with the authority, we found that it's actually a surplus to pay more attention and give protection to vessels which are passing through that area, because they know that by doing so, there will be more such programs that can be done in long term. So this year we're going to continue doing this for Sail Malaysia.
Another outstanding example of how doing this good along the way bridges not just industry, but the local governments and break down some barriers that might have already existed.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to end on is that we really hope that Southeast Asia and Asia in general, with our new friends in China and Japan, can be one of the first model YAG global regions for a couple of things. We've already started working with the AYSS network to identify sustainable volunteer programs that in the concept is for yacht crews. And the concept is this: when a yacht crew arrives, and you're handing them their or even their pre-arrival packet of where to bunker, how to handle customs and immigration, where to get provisions, etc. A new component of that dialogue is where to take your crew to get involved in the community, so that this becomes just a normal part of our culture. And I guarantee you from personal experience that after a yacht crew captain spends 10, whatever, how many years on a boat and reflects back on that 10 years later, they're not necessarily going to remember the hundreds of nights in the club. But they will remember building a fence around the school in Komodo, or bringing clean drinking water to communities that otherwise would, not have that. And that's a big deal, And it's very rewarding right now for me to be interacting with the legends of this industry, you know, who look at this as a legacy thing now too. The folks that have built this industry up from scratch over years. And I remember one meeting I had at Miami Boat Show with a very influential person in this industry, and I made the comment of, what do you want to be known for? You know, the person who sold the most yachts in the world? Or something like this? And everybody understands this concept right now. And it's just a matter of, I happen to be the guy that's unemployed and got a lot of passion and momentum about it, so I need some support to get everybody working together on this stuff. And the other piece for this region is the disaster response piece. I'm going to talk with a couple of you offline, but YAG Global is, just in the last week, I represented YAG Global at the Partnership for Humanity Summit in North Carolina. It's made up of 8 of the largest nonprofit organizations in the United Nations logistics cluster and procurement cluster that have broken off to form kind of the Uber of United Nations disaster response. And we are, because of our performance and relationship with them over the years, now one of the founding members. So our resources and capacity and capabilities as a humanitarian organization just went hyperspace in every single one of these regions because of our affiliation relationships with these other networks now. And one of the reasons why, and I went out on a limb and I've already extended you all, one of the reasons YAG Global and the yachting industry is so attractive or valuable to the United Nations traditional disaster response cluster, not just yachts, but the AYSS agent network. And truly, when it comes to disaster response, that group is our backbone for getting stuff done. And we're going to talk about what this means for the UN relationship. And primarily, you are the primary point of contact before these organizations can get boots on the ground. You may be the ones that we need to have co-sign to receive humanitarian aid because they don't have somebody on the ground. You may be the one that's providing the sit rep of what's happening after the first hour or two after a disaster because they don't have boots on the ground. The power of this agent network that we all enjoy for, you know, local concierge knowledge has just gone boom, boom. You know? So, many thanks.
Okay, you can approach the team if you want to have a one-to-one discussion or anything. Yeah. So please continue to enjoy the food and the drink.